Managing Oneself by Peter F. Drucker. It's a good book, very small. And the essence I got about it was about taking responsibility for your working life, especially. He talks about like how you have to take responsibility for relationships, for example, but in particular to the workplace. Say, understanding people have different ways of learning, they have different ways, different strengths. Like understanding your strength, understanding other people's strengths as well. And for example, some people are listeners and other people are readers. So for example, if you have a boss, for example, who's a leader, or sorry, is a reader, then giving him I guess being in the meetings with him is going to be ineffective, because he might not listen as well as someone who's a listener. So it'd probably be better to give written briefs, emails, and speak to him regarding and communicate with him regarding certain tasks in that way. But it's your responsibility to be observant to other people. And another thing I got from it is, even if you work better as an individual, you need to realize that we all work together. We're all knowledge workers. It's not like the industrial age back in the day, when people were working as part of, doing one thing. Your father was a blacksmith, so you're a blacksmith, and you just do that one thing. Like, a lot of us work in organizations now, and work in forms of teams, and business is a team sport. So you're going to have accountants, HR department, you're going to have marketing executives, you're going to have the CEO, you're going to have all sorts of people. And some of the clashes in the workplace is a lack of communication. He says it here. It says that communication is one of the when people have personality clashes at work, it's mainly because there's a lack of communication. It's people not understanding what someone else's responsibility is, and what they're doing, and how they are going to achieve their goal, and them not understanding you and what you're doing and how you're achieving your goal. And it's quite a new concept. It's only really happened in this century, in the 20th century, since we've been working in organizations. So that was an interesting point. Also, if you're a decision maker versus an advisor. So some people are better decision makers and other people are better advisors. So you might have somebody who's promoted to, say, a CEO position, but they're not able to perform in that position because that's a decision making position. But if they're in a position below, say, for example, and they're a chief advisor to the CEO, then they perform better, because that job or that position tailors to their strength. So it's important to know yourself and know your strengths and your weaknesses. And one thing he says is, don't try and change yourself, because a lot of people will try to improve on that concept or that skill set that they're lacking in. But what it is to understand where you're strong and actually play with that. Accept that and play with that, rather than trying to go from being terrible to mediocre. You can go from being good to exceptional at something you're strong at. One thing I picked up from just reading that, a lot of that section was, I know, for example, my strength is I work better under pressure. Because there was another one where it said, do you work better in stressful situations, or do you work better in organization? I know some people who work very well in an organized environment. They need everything to be done in a certain way. They have a to-do list. Me, I'm more of I work better under pressure when it's on. I really my skill sets really come out. So that's one thing that I realized about myself reading the book when I was looking at that. It's something I've consciously known. Something I'm a bit more challenged by was the question of, if you work well with as a reader a reader or a listener. I think I'm probably more of a listener. I can read, and I like reading, and but I don't tend to read instructions. I notice, like, if I have like if there's a cabinet that needs to be put up, for example, I don't even look at the instructions. I mean, I might look at the if it's visual and it's got loads of drawings, kind of to show you how to put it up, I'll have a brief look at it, and then I'll just build it, and I'll just keep referring back to the next stage, but I won't read instructions. So in that sense, I guess I'm more of a listener than a reader. I like being in a meeting, I guess. I like being in a situation where you discuss and communicate with each of your teammates, like where what you're doing and how you're going to contribute, like they say, he says in this book. But yeah, that's what I think anyway. I mean, I don't know about you, like what do you think, or what is your strength, in those areas? Something, I guess, to think about. But yeah, also about people, like it's something that was said about manners. It said that manners are lubricating oil for an organization. Manners simply things like saying please and thank you, and knowing a person's name or asking after her family, enable two people to work together whether they like each other or not. And I thought that was a very good point. It's something I really believe in as well. You're not supposed to be looking at people as employees. You look at them as people, because again, at the end of the day, they are people, and people do work more effectively if you respond to them that way. So he made a point of that in this book as well, and obviously taking responsibility for treating people as people at work. So a lot of it was to do with it's a Harvard Business Review classic. So a lot of it was to do with work. But it's also really, what I took from it was just knowing yourself, like because obviously a lot of our waking life, we are in our jobs, in our careers, in our businesses, whatever, living our purpose. So it's a place where we interact with a lot of people, not necessarily friends and family, but that can be the case. So it's a place where you shouldn't allow yourself to be taken over, like especially nowadays. It's said in a knowledge-based society, we're not told what to do now. We're all people who are growing and developing, and we're working with each other, as opposed to being told what to do. People are forming associations with each other and working together, like synergetically. So that was a very good point. And more and more, you need to know your strengths, you need to know your weaknesses, you need to know how to manage yourself. And that was a very good point I thought he made. But overall, a good book. Rated 4 out of 5. It's a very small book, so it's a quick read. You can read it in while you're eating breakfast or whatever. Definitely recommend it. So like I said, the book is called Managing Oneself by Peter F. Drucker. Leave a comment below, let me know if you've read the book and what you think of it, any points you have regarding what I've talked about today, and let me know your thoughts. If you've got any new ideas, that would always be helpful to know, and to share with other people. So thanks a lot. If you like this video, like, subscribe and share, and I'll have more videos up for you on the channel. Peace.